Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now, a couple things before I get into the video. Yes, I rebranded. I am now the American Exceptionalist, and I'm going to take my channel in direction away from just politics. I'm going to do some historical and philosophical videos at some point in the near future. I have some ideas. I am working on a couple historical videos right now, but they are in early development. I'd say expect them during sometime towards April or May, or maybe even towards the beginning of summer. I am a college student. I have a lot of things on my plate, but I think they're going to be high quality, good videos, and I want them to be the best they can possibly be. Which is why I'm more comfortable making, on demand political videos, because politics is always changing, and I can make big political essay videos, and I think I will. I think I'm going to make, at some point in the future, Understanding the Republican Party video. But other than that, it's more of a whim. So I hope you enjoy the rebranding, and I hope you enjoy my new content when it comes out. But anyways, without further ado, let's get back into the video. So the Nevada Republican caucus happened, and need I say anything, Trump won by a gargantuous landslide. 99.1% of the vote. Rhymeley, he didn't even get 0.9%. Well, he did, but he didn't get above that. And it's quite humiliating, honestly. Like, if you are a Republican in this race and seriously expects to beat Trump, you got another thing coming. Because we got Nikki Haley, Nikki Birdbrain Haley, Nikki Affair Haley, Nikki War Criminal Haley, losing to none of these candidates. Justifiably so. I mean, come on. Nikki Haley, she's not the best governor in the world, not the best politician in the world. Certainly would not want her to be president. There's a lot of people I'd vote for over her to be president, to be frank. Democrats and Republicans. And it is quite hilarious to me that 63% of the Republican voter base decided against her and just literally have no one. They'd really vacate the office of presidency than have her be there, and that's quite hilarious. Now, this was more of a protest vote in all seriousness against her and for Trump. Had Trump been against her, I think, he probably got a little bit of a wider margin, because I don't think she would have cracked 30% in Nevada. I mean, Trump was already poised to win it by 70. She wasn't on there. That helped her out a little bit. I mean, I think we could go down here to candidates, or somewhere down here. Yeah, it shows Mike Pence getting 3.9%. He was not going to get that if Trump wasn't on the ballot. Okay, no one wants to vote for Mike Pence. His political campaign for president lasted so insignificantly that he dropped out before the first contest even happened, okay? But when we get back to this, the real point of it is that Trump is going to win the Republican primary no matter what. It's impossible he loses. He has this in the bag. He has 63 delegates to Nikki Haley's 17, which she is the biggest opposition Trump has faced in the Republican Party since Ted Cruz. Now, that is a lot to unpack right here. However, we've talked about that enough. I can make a far bigger analysis, and there's other things I'm going to talk about in this video. And that's the prediction side. I successfully predicted New Hampshire would vote for Trump by 10 points. Well, in actuality, it was 11, but he got it by 10. I had a video planned for Nevada, but by the time I recorded it, there were some audio issues, and I was so busy, I didn't upload it in time, unfortunately. But I'm back on the track. And Trump has won 4 contests. He's won the Virgin Islands, Nevada, Iowa, and New Hampshire. And coming up later this month, we have South Carolina. Now, this is Nikki Haley's, I guess you could say, last shot. I think she has one more, maybe somewhat reasonable shot at winning a contest. Not the primary. Don't get me wrong. That's ludicrous to even think that. But her home state of South Carolina, she was governor for about 6 or 7 years in South Carolina. Surely she's going to be doing well in the polls there. Well, I got some bad news. No, not at all. She's down by roughly 65% to Trump in the polls. Now, there is a little bit of an increase here, but that's because people like DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy dropped out, and most of the support is consolidated behind Trump. And here's the thing about South Carolina. It doesn't matter how much she possibly narrows it up. I don't think she's going to narrow up that much, if at all. But this is a winner-take-all state. So all Trump needs to do is he needs to get roughly around 50% plus 1, and he gets every single delegate in the state. And I'm predicting that's going to happen. Now, it's not an extraordinary out of water prediction, but this is the current state of the Republican primary. Donald Trump, 113 delegates, Nikki Haley, 17, Vivek Ramaswamy, 3, and Ron DeSantis with 9. So, the future after this is a Michigan primary. Only 16 delegates are going to be rewarded. I'm not sure the process, if it's a primary or a caucus, so I'm not going to make a prediction until closer to date and I do more research, but as of now, I think Trump's going to win it. I mean, this is a Trump state. It's one of the states that flipped from Democrat, a nearly endless stream of Democratic victories since 1992, to where Trump won the state along with Wisconsin, Pennsylvania in 2016. He's handily going to win the state, and yeah. And then there's Idaho, Missouri, and a couple others for the big Super Tuesday. My state is voting on Super Tuesday. I'll be going out to the polls to vote that day. Very excited. First time voting in a primary. Really anticipating high turnout when there. I'm thinking about making a video when I'm there, but I don't know if I can. I'll have to look at state laws. States are stingy about this type of stuff, people. I don't know what I can do. But look at this map. Nikki Haley is not going to win virtually any state besides the possibility of an upset victory in Vermont. And look at this. 17 delegates. That's currently what she has. I don't know if it's a caucus. I don't know if it's a primary. I'm going to assume it's a primary like New Hampshire. Donald Trump, and this is not going to happen. This is just a best case scenario for Nikki Haley. Trump gets around 40%. He gets 17. Nikki Haley gets 10. And the map, you can imagine everything's else blue with the exception of an orange little Vermont. But even that's ludicrous and most likely not going to happen. Oops. Sorry, it's being a little silly right now. Oh, yeah, I see what there we go. But yeah, that is the current Republican primary update. It's impossible, frankly, for Trump to lose at this point. I don't know how he will. The Supreme Court is more likely and is currently poised to side with Trump in the Colorado ballot initiative. I'm going to give my opinion here, and most reasonable opinion. It is a ludicrous idea for Trump to be taken off the ballot. January 6th, Trump had literally, there's no evidence out there to even suggest that he started an insurrection. I talked with many people about it, liberals, Democrats, friends, political correspondents, everyone. Most of them agree that, yeah, there's not ample evidence to say he started an insurrection or whatnot. It's just an anti-democratic, democratic deconciliation move by the Democratic Party. The Supreme Court decision was 4-3. It's a very liberal court at that. Very against Trump, and it's still just by one vote sided against him. The Supreme Court is more likely not going to overturn it. I've listened to the Supreme Court. It's not good if you want Trump to be off the ballot because you just don't want to have your opposition to have a voice. Same thing with Maine, that Secretary of State. The only reason she's doing it, let's face it, is because she's going to run for governor or senator or some other office in the upcoming future. And her doing that will appeal to the Democratic base, whether or not it's Democratic, whether or not it's with the Republican and Democratic ideals of our country. That does not matter to her. But anyways, I digress. So Trump is going to win the Republican nomination. And within that, let's move on to the second topic of this video. I'm going to do a political forecast currently. Everything is poised to change, but at this point in time, mid-February of 2024, roughly, I think, eight months until the election. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm a political science guy. There's a reason I'm not majoring in mathematics. And I'm going to do a Senate forecast. Now, big news. Every state that I have in the toss-up category is competitive. Now, competitive doesn't mean that it's going to flip or that it's a coin toss. No, not at all. What I am saying is that candidates are going to have to seriously campaign there to some extent. Even if it's a state like Texas where, yeah, I think Ted Cruz is going to win it. It's a presidential year. Not the most popular guy. He has his quirks. He still has to put in effort. Same thing with Maryland, which brings me to my next point. Larry Hogan, the former governor, is running for the seat. This is the best possible candidate Republican could put up for the seat in the 2024 election. Larry Hogan is a popular Republican governor of the state of Maryland. Now, watching LTE videos and getting his perspective on it, I was never of the opinion in the first place that Hogan had a serious shot at flipping the seat. But he makes a great point. Tennessee and Montana recently had Democratic governors who were very popular, who left Sorry, guys. I'd like to apologize for that. The recording software I am on will let me have 10 minutes of recording for free. I'm not paying for that. I hope you understand. But anyways, back to the video. So Larry Hogan, very interesting idea. I think if this was 10, 20 years ago, there would be a serious chance he'd pick up the seat. It's an open seat. He's a popular governor. But like I said, Montana, Tennessee, and even from some Republican examples, like in Hawaii, I mean, just because a former governor runs doesn't mean they're going to pick up the seat, no matter how popular they are. So, yeah, I am going to put it in the Democratic column, but this is a forecast, not a prediction. I'm currently putting it as lean D. I think Crystal Sabatobal, excuse me if I pronounced it wrong, never really am great at pronouncing that name, but I'm currently putting it as lean D, likely D. I agree with them on that rating. But I hope you understand, this is not a prediction, this is just how it currently is, accounting for the polls and accounting for other factors. This is somewhat, to my opinion, and to my degree. I'm also putting a formal prediction or forecast right now. Republicans are more likely not going to pick up the United States Senate, as I'm going to give Montana tilt rating right now for the Republicans. Jon Tester is a very popular incumbent Democratic senator, but that doesn't mean it's going to save him in a presidential year. Republicans are Tim Sheehy, Matt Rosendale are, to some degree, both formidable opponents. And I think either in the environment with Trump on the ticket, in a presidential election year, when this isn't a blue wave, like Jon Tester has been so lucky to run in every single year since he's been elected, yeah, it's gonna flip, giving Republicans the Senate right now. Regardless not of whether or not Joe Biden wins the presidency and Kamala Harris is reelected with him, giving at the possibility of a 50-50 tie Democratic Senate control. Now, the next state I'm going to rate, I think we're going to go from west to east, is Nevada. Nevada is a very interesting state. I think it is the most trending to the right state besides Florida as this current state in time. And, well, I don't think Sam Brown is too high up in the polls, but I also don't think Jackie Rosen is now. I think given the environment, given if Trump wins, it's a very high possibility that Sam Brown, he holds on. And while he doesn't hold on, he picks up the seat. So I am going to give Nevada to Republicans by a tilt margin. And disagree with me if you want. This is just my current opinion. Now, I will give Democrats Arizona, Mike Gallego. I don't think he's necessarily Arizona Democrat, and by that I mean a more moderate end. However, what I do think is, given Kari Lake and given Kristen Sinema, basically they're just doing some wacky stuff with vote sharing over there. I don't think the moderate Republicans are going to go for Kari Lake, and I don't think Kari Lake's going to drop out. It's a very weird state, but I am forecasting at this moment that Kristen Sinema does pick up, Mike Gallego does pick up the Senate seat. Wisconsin is another one I'm forecasting for the Democrats' column, lean D. So Tammy Baldwin is the incumbent senator, and Republicans just don't really have a great candidate against her right now. It's something that we're experiencing, or Republicans for the most part are experiencing, where, yeah, there's ample opportunities for pickups in the Senate. There's just not great candidates. And that really has to do with the bench. Now, some of these states, like Michigan, Pennsylvania, I'm more sympathetic towards from a more Republican standpoint, as they really haven't had opportunity to build that big of a bench. I mean, sure, they can have Congress seats, but there hasn't been that many opportunities for them to reasonably pick up statewide offices, or at least get people elected to statewide offices that are going to do an ample job to where they could, carry the torch over the crossing line. I mean, Gretchen Whitmer, she was very good candidate for the state of Michigan. Josh Shapiro, very great candidate for the state of Pennsylvania. Wisconsin, on the other hand, there are many good candidates they could run. Scott Walker, Mike Gallego, a couple other congressmen. There's certainly room for growth in Wisconsin, not just in the WOW suburbs, but in the driftless areas. And even accounting for a supposed red wave or more Trump-favorable environment, as the polls are going with, I'd still put it at tilt D at most. I think Trump, is spoil and give the farm now. I think he's going to least favored right now to win the state, both in a general and a political forecast, but I don't see them picking this Senate seat up anytime soon. Michigan, very weak field for Republicans in Michigan, yet one of the most best opportunities for pickups. I mean, on paper, this is a state that has a very high possibility of voting for Republican. When we look at the working class voters and the more rural voters and the voters who are fed up with Democratic policies like the disastrous that is immigration. Still, though, this is a shitty bench, just to be frank, and I don't like to cuss much on this channel, but not good. James Craig has potential. I think it could flip in the general, but for forecast right now, tilt D. I think at least Steinfunk, very much favored to win the seat. Now we have Pennsylvania, likely D. Now you might be wondering, whoa, what the hell are you up to? Why is Pennsylvania likely D? I know John Fetterman won it by 5, but come on, things must be a little different, aren't they? No, this is Bob Casey Jr. There's one thing I know about Pennsylvania politics, you don't mess with the Caseys. They love them in Pennsylvania. I tell you what, right now, we're gonna move on from this. Because if you thought Dr. Oz being from New Jersey was bad, just wait till you hear about McCormick being from Connecticut. I mean, the states don't even border each other. Now we're down to the last 2 political forecast states, and I'm going to put Virginia as also likely D. Mike Warner, the incumbent senator, he's not bad as a Democratic politician, in my opinion. I don't think he's awful. And I think Hung Kao he's a good candidate for Virginia. I think he's going to at least get within 45 percentage points in the general election. However, it's still Virginia at the end of the day. I know Glenn Youngkin's the governor right now, and I know Republicans, while yes, they fumbled the bag, they didn't shit the bag in the current 2023 midterms. So I'm going to put it as a likely D. I think the margin will be closer than likely D, but I can't reasonably put it as lead D right now. And I'm going to leave one state in the toss-up category, that being Ohio. I think it really does depend on the nominee. I think Bernie Monroe has a good chance of flipping the state and taking it from Sherrod Brown in the general. I think Sherrod Brown's luck is running out. I still think he could reasonably hold on, though. I'm not going to sugarcoat that fact at all. That's why I am currently forecasting the Senate to be 52 to 47, or could even be more reasonably 41 to 47 with 2 tossed-up states. And I think I'm going to leave it as this for right now, as I think Nevada is going to vote Republican more and more increasingly, and every single election in the upcoming future. I should still probably put it in the toss-up category, just as general political forecast. Now moving on to the Electoral College forecast. Very, very interesting. Now, let's look at the states here. Not every state here is what people would consider to be a swing state, but there are competitive states. Colorado is my example for this. Yes, technically on paper, it's a competitive state, but everyone knows Trump being on the ballot or not, Biden's going to win the state. Same thing with Texas, same thing with Florida, and the same thing with Ohio. Now, while yes, there is room for growth in Texas for Democrats, and there's room for growth for Republicans in Florida, I think given the current environment, it is unlikely either of those states flip. Same thing with North Carolina. Again, like I said in my presidential election video on November 5th, currently poised to be when the presidential election happens in the upcoming year. I uploaded it on November 5th of last year, so we have a bit to go off of how the environment's changed and how my opinion's changed since then. Like I said, however, I think push come to shove, Trump's going to win every single state he's won in the 2020 election and the 2024 election, guaranteed, giving him 234 electoral votes. However, I will put Texas in the likely column, Florida in the likely column, and North Carolina in the likely column for now. Now let's give Democrats some states. New Mexico. Mexico is along with Virginia, New York, New Jersey, and Minnesota, the states that Trump is considering to campaign in the attempt to flip him. And you might think that's crazy, and it kind of is. But when has Trump not done crazy stuff and succeeded? No, don't take that out of context. I don't think he's going to win Virginia, Minnesota, or New Mexico, or New York or New Jersey for that. But Sorry, again, it cut out. But I feel like, yeah, it's reasonable in a good environment he would pick up those states. I mean, at least Virginia and Minnesota. But I don't think that's going to happen, which leaves me with the current political forecast of likely D Virginia, likely D New Mexico, and likely D Minnesota and New Mexico. It's very late, people. We're running on not that many hours of sleep. Give me a break. But anyway, this leaves us with roughly 7 states that are in the competitive column. And I'm going to give another state to the Democrats, being New Hampshire. And yeah, Trump did fairly well in the primary. He got, I think, more votes than any other person has gotten New Hampshire primary in American history, at least for competitive races, that is. Still, though, it's going the way of Arizona and the way Virginia and Colorado went for Republicans. Yeah, it's a competitive state. Yeah, you had some good wins in the past, but at the end of the day, you're not winning anytime soon. Chris Sununu is retiring, so I don't necessarily think there's going to be much room for growth in the state further. Now, I will go back to the Republicans, and I'm going to put Nevada in there, which I think, and this is just my hot take, but I think Nevada is probably one of the more Republican states in this election. Certainly Trump can lose it. I'm not saying it's guaranteed by any means, but I think, hey, at the end of the day, he wins it by at least a point. Same thing for Georgia. And for Wisconsin. Now, CNN put Michigan in Trump's column, giving him 272 electoral votes. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yay. Okay. But giving him 270 electoral votes, I disagree with that personally. There's no way Donald Trump has a better chance of winning Michigan than Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. Could it happen? Absolutely. But I don't think so. Now let's give Nebraska to Joe Biden. And I think I'm going to... you know what? Joe Biden, I'm giving him tilt D for Arizona. So this is the current political forecast as of February of 2024. We see Republicans are currently favored in the Senate and in the Electoral College to become the leaders of the government in the coming years. I think Donald Trump, at the end of the day, he's going to pick up Pennsylvania and he's going to pick up Michigan. I know in my prediction in November 5th of last year, I said Trump more likely than not doesn't get Michigan. But I must account for the polls to some degree, and I think it is reasonable that he does win the Rust Belt again. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed my political forecast, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Please tell me what you're thinking below, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for future updates.